Great morning, great morning, great morning. It is 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday morning. Time for the It's About You radio show on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. My name is Maurice McDonald, your host each and every week. As I always say this time, it is an honor, privilege, and opportunity for me to have this platform to share information, to enlighten you, to encourage you, to motivate you, to hopefully to have you to be inspired to be the very best person you can possibly be, in spite of all of the issues you may go through, in spite of all the setbacks and negativity and everything else. And because it's 8 o'clock in the morning, I always say, listen, I know you're in the gym, you're having breakfast, you're at work, whatever it is, if you're in a car, you're listening, I take it as an honor to have information. This is designed to get into your ear and hopefully into your heart to help you make the changes you need to make if necessary, or listen, just have some thought-provoking conversation. That's what we're going to do. And each and every week, I always have a morning motivational quote of the day. And today's quote is a very simple one. If you want to be the best, you got to work harder than the rest. If you want to be the best, you work harder than the rest. You can't be average. You see, there's a book called, called Average. In the day, you got to be average. You got to take some risk. You got to go out on a limb because that's where the fruit is. You got to be above. You never see fruit growing on the base of the tree. It's on the limb. You got to go out to where it is. And it's risky to going out on that limb. Everybody want to play it safe. You can't play it safe. But you got to work harder. Every day in the jungles of Africa, the gazelle wakes up every single morning knowing they've got to be faster than the slowest lion, okay? They got to be, because they hit the ground running. Hit the ground running or you'll be eaten. So that's your morning quote of the day. If you want to be the best, you work harder than the rest. Do what you got to do. Go back to school. Take a course. Do whatever it is you got to do. Some of you have been fitting to start a business for years. I've been fitting to go to school. I want to go. You've been talking about doing some things that you have not done it yet. So that is your morning quote of the day, brought to you by MauriceMcDonald.net. MauriceMcDonald.net. Go there and learn all about your gut microbiome. All disease begins in the gut, and you must get that gut in order so that you can have a better quality of life. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a real honor for me. I call this show today the Uncommon Courage, Uncommon Faith, the Uncommon Story. As many of you know, I've had amazing careers, 3 amazing careers as a law enforcement officer, a professional school counselor, and teaching now. The greatest job I've ever had. It's not really work. It is teaching students. And today I'm showcasing another one of my students. And this young lady, I can tell you, 11-year journey, met her, and she came to college scared, came to the college broken, came to this college unsure, not knowing what she wanted to do, but she showed up scared and did it anyway. She came there and got her GED. That's right, got her GED. And this past May, let me just put it this way, she got her PhD. You heard what I said. From GED to PhD. That's what I call this an uncommon story. I want to introduce to you Dr. Dawn Long, okay? A woman who has shared her story many times with me, the ups and downs, that journey of her getting her associate's degree, her bachelor's degree, her master's degree, and now PhD. So with that said, welcome to the show, Dr. Long.
Thank you for having me, Mr. McDonald. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Introduction. It was beautiful.
Hey, it's listen, your story. I've got somebody now working on a PhD. So you were the first one to get a PhD from my program, not from my program, but you started that journey there. If you would, tell my audience a little bit about you and your story before the school journey started.
Well, I came from a place in North Carolina that was Asheville. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. And so my kids were all grown. And my youngest son, he was 18. And I felt like when I looked around the house, there were so many people there that were for them. And nobody was there for me. Like, it was, my sons had their girlfriends and their children. And My daughter was there with her boyfriend, and even my child's father, he was there. And I thought to myself, we're not even together, but we just had that type of family. But I didn't want to be stuck like that. Like I was seeing myself being a parent all over again to my children's children. And I didn't want to do that because there were so many things I wanted to do with my life. So I said to my youngest son, I'm moving to Charlotte. My pastor at Hill Street Baptist Church in Asheville at the time, Keith Ogden, he said to me, why don't you go to Charlotte and move with your family down there and try to do something different with your life. Go to college, do this, do that. And I didn't want to say to him, hey, I don't even have a high school diploma. But something inside of me said, you know what, you should go. It was so many times that on applications in Asheville for a job, I would put that I graduated from Central Piedmont. I put that on my visit there one time with my aunt. She was an honor student. She got the Coca-Cola scholarship award, and so I went there one time with her. And she too left from Asheville and came to Charlotte to join Central Piedmont Community College because they had a social work program there for people, but it was them being an assistant social worker. And so she joined that program, and it worked out for her. She put herself through school, working downtown at different restaurants. So I went there with her one day, and we just rode through, and I looked at the college, and I said, wow, I would love to go to this college. This is nice. Moving forward, maybe I wanted to say 10 years later, having to go and put in jobs. It wasn't really what you knew in Asheville. It's who you know. So I worked as a mail carrier, had a really good job, and I also worked doing that, but I also did mail distribution. And so the job that I had, they asked me would I like to move to Pitney Bowes in Charlotte to work. And I was like, yeah, what will I be doing? You'll be a supervisor. They would love to have you. I'm going to help you get on. So I got the application. I filled it out. I was ready to go. I was finished my first telephone interview with Pitney Bowes, and then the second one, it was in person, so I had to be in Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte. I looked at my kids. I gave everything in my house away. Everything. My daughter had my furniture, whatever I had. I only took 5 outfits, and I got in the car. I cried a little bit because I had never really been off the mountain. Most people that live from Asheville, they don't leave the mountain. They don't. And so I got enough courage to drive down the mountain. I started this journey when I went to Pitney Bowes. The lady said, oh my God, you have excellent references. Your references are excellent. The only thing missing is we need your high school diploma. And I was shocked. I was like, high school diploma? I don't have one. And she was like, oh my, this is a supervisor job. You have to have a high school diploma. So I was devastated. I went to Central. I went home and to the house where I was staying for a moment, and I cried a little bit. And I thought to myself, well, I got to go get a high school diploma because I'm not going to be able to get a job down here. And Asheville is not what you know or what you have, it's who you know. And so down here, I didn't know anybody. But I could not show up back home as a failure. That's what I wasn't going to do. So I went to Central Piedmont. I laugh about that now because I used them before I used them. And so I went and I applied. Went and got my tape. I took a tape test. And the guy, his name was Michael, he came out from behind the back and he said, hey, can I see you for a minute? And I was like, sure. He was like, you scored 12 on your tape test or better. And I said, what does that mean? He was like, you could go ahead and take your GED now and just be done with it. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, your tape test is pretty high. How much time are you willing to put into yourself? I thought about that. I said, well, how much time are you willing to put into yourself, girl? What are you going to do? I said, what do you mean time? He said, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 is when the classes start. Well, he didn't go into detail. I just said, yes, I signed up for the program, and it was the Pathways program. Central Piedmont. That's where you get your GED at the same time you take a certification course. My certification course was with Mr. Walton, and I took the disabilities course. At the time, it was called developmental disabilities, and so I took the course, and there was a group of us, and we all moved around at the same time doing the same thing. And I didn't, those people, they didn't really care for me too much because I was in a culture shock. I had never seen so many black people in my life. I was shocked. Like I never, they thought I was being funny when I said, you know, no, I don't do that. No, I don't know those. And it was a trick because I had never, in Asheville, at that time, it was 6,000 blacks, but it was 20,000 white people. So so being from all white, my school was all white, my friends were all white, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a shock to come down here and see so many people gathered, but to see the diversity in the community at the college. When I came in 2013, diversity was at all-time high because you would see so different Africans. I had never seen people from Dubai, people from Russia, people. I thought to myself, like, oh, where have I been? What, you know, like, what's going on? So I started taking the classes and moving around with my cohort, and I was there maybe 3 months, and I was scared to take the GED test. And I'll never forget Miss Elaine. I can't think of her last name right off, but Miss Elaine, she was my GED coach, and she said, Dawn, I want to tell you something. You're coming to these classes every day from 8 to 5, but I really believe that it's time for you to go ahead and just take the GED. I said, oh, I can't do the math. I don't want to do it. I'm afraid of the science. I'm afraid. She said, well, I'm going to put you in a class to go ahead and do it. So the next couple of weeks, I started doing the English. I scored really high. I passed that. And so I would do different of the GED testing. It was last time to do my math and science. And the lady that I was staying with, her daughter, my aunt, her daughter, she died. And she was helping me with my math. And I just, the way she died was kind of scary for me. It was hurtful, but I had to end up burying her myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went ahead and I took that challenge, but I could also hear her say, don't focus too much on me and this. I got a mama. Focus on you getting that math done. I'm going to walk you through it. And I was like crying, and I went to class and I started taking my math. The answers seemed so easy for me. It was like, oh my God, I know this. By the time I finished, it was over with. I had the yellow book. I'll never forget that, the yellow book. I mean, it's different levels. You can have an orange, you can have red, you can have blue, but I had the yellow one, and I passed, and I was in one of the highest percentiles in math. I couldn't believe it. So one day, it was time for the go down to check that, and I went to the high school. It's called something at Central Piedmont. You can tell me if you don't mind. The high school down there at the
Central High.
Central High,
yeah.
To the school, and I was supposed to go check my GED courses, see if I passed. I went there, me and 3 other girls, and they went and looked and saw their name on the list, and they passed. I passed. But when I came to mine, I looked up and I started looking at the scores, and at the end of the scores, it says you passed. And I wailed, I got on the floor and I cried, and the security was running at me. And the security officer, the lady that did the scoring and testing or whatever, she said, don't touch her. Don't touch her. Let her cry.
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't believe that I had finished, that I had been and done so many things in life.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like to me, you had that lack of self-esteem or belief in yourself throughout this journey, that you were smarter than you really believed you were.
Right.
You got the GED.
I was always smart at school.
Absolutely.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was smart in my middle school and high school, but I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because I had to be street smart raising my kids.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and at the end of the day, then you got into our program, and you were succeeding throughout that program. Your confidence began to grow. I've started to connect you with other students. I saw something in you of helping people, that journey, and Dr. Walton saw it, and all the other instructors. And initially, you and I butted heads in a class when you didn't want to do the case management class. Why do you do all this? And I said, Don, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And
you put me down. You told me to get out of class.
Because, hey, I saw that you were kind of resistant, but at the end of the day, but I knew there was something in you to be able to see help. And then the beautiful part about this is your confidence began to grow.
Right.
And I saw that people were coming to you for help.
That's true.
They were coming for you, and some of them were coming, they wanted you to help them cheat, so to speak, to cut corners, and you begin to realize you can't carry everybody because they're not ready. Everybody. You can't carry them. They're not ready. They're too heavy for you to carry. And then you became a Ruth Shaw leadership
Ruth Shaw
scholar, where you connected with the college president. Now here's a person that didn't believe in himself, got the GED, and now you're in the office with the president of the college, and you got an award, you won. I remember that day going across the stage, and you got that, and now you're going to get your bachelor's degree.
Yeah, and I did the Alpha where I had that. I graduated honors, and I had so many different honors. It was kind of like I did the Psi Alpha honor. That was the biggest thing because you had to keep a 3.6 or 3.5 GPA the whole for at least 4 or 5 months, and I had it. I mean, I was surprised, but one thing I will say, reading the material, I didn't know the words, the definitions to the material, but I had experienced almost everything that I read. It was just putting the right word to it, to call it what it is, like unconditional positive regard.
Right.
Well, I had that. I had that. But it was different things that you would have us do that I had already experienced,
right,
and knew about. And so that's what made me be such a good student, because there were things that we talked about I had already experienced, and I just didn't have the terminology to put to
right. Yeah, and the fact that you had experienced it and knew what it was like. So I know I've got some listeners right now who are listening, and you are ringing their bell. You're telling their story. They're not believing in themselves. They cry. They struggle. They know they want more. They got family members. They got a boyfriend or girlfriend or family member's cousin holding them back, telling them you can't do it. You're from the wrong side of the tracks. You are a teenage mom. You can't do this. What message would you give them? What's the word you would say to them?
I would say that you can do all things in Christ that strengthens you. One thing that I did take with me was the fact that I knew the Lord. You heard me mention my pastor, because he was a very significant person in my life as well, because he sent me to go somewhere, pack up your tent. He said, pack up your tent and move to another place. And so I believed in the Lord. I knew the Lord. I was saved ever since I was 7 years old. So that was one thing. I'm not saying that I didn't slip up, because there was times I had to go back and get baptized. I got baptized at 7. So that was really too young for somebody to get baptized. But then as I started going to church, I realized that the things that I got baptized about then, I need to go back and redo my life. I rededicated my life 20 times.
Yeah.
But I needed to have another baptism. So before I left and came to Charlotte, I got baptized again. And I tried to live right and be holy or whatever. Not saying that I didn't slip up.
Right.
but it was the Lord. You have to have that relationship with the Lord. You have to find a way to read scripture. You have to pray. The prayer changes. People say prayer changes things. It changes things and it changes situations. So I prayed a lot, and that was the only thing. Nothing else seemed to help.
So what I'm hearing you say is your faith got you through.
That is correct.
The ups and downs of it, and now here you are graduating from college and getting your associate's degree, and where did you go to get your bachelor? And by the way, what was your major when you got your bachelor's degree?
When I got my bachelor's degree, it was human services again, because I graduated summa cum laude. I first went to Queen's University, but because I wanted to be a Vista, AmeriCorps Vista at the same time, I had to work at the men's shelter. That changed me too. So I decided that I would go to online degree at the Walden University. That was a big help because that helped me graduate summa cum laude. And I didn't realize what that was at first. I just thought that a 4.0 GPA. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, but that school, it wasn't, a lot of schools, not like Central Piedmont, they didn't have the accreditation for that program. And so my teacher came to me and she said, Dawn, I want you to do something. And I said, what? She was like, I want you to get your social work degree, but I want you to do it and get your social work degree. And I was like, I'm human service. She said, just do what I said. Human service is up on the social work umbrella, so you go there. So I decided to go to Walden again and get my master's degree in social work. Okay. But because I had veterans or whatever, I decided to do military social work because at that time, working at Central Piedmont, Mr. Walton, he wanted me to look out for certain people, and I did. And it was a change, but that changed me to make sure that veterans always meant something to me. But it was not until I met the veteran that was a combat veteran and young and needed my assistance. I thought to myself, "Wow, Lord have mercy! This is new for me." So I became working for the VA and got my social work degree in military social work. I wanted to be a military social worker, and I'm still doing the same thing. After when I left there, finished and I graduated with all honors in the Social Work Honor Society, and that was amazing for me because I never thought I could do that. My aunt, she was a social worker, and she never went to her master's degree program. She did bachelor's, but she said, you came down here and outdid me, Dee Dee. That's what she called me. Yeah. And so I was not trying to outdo anybody. It was just I didn't want to give up. I want to keep going. Right.
It was your time, an idea that you were working with veterans, helping veterans with the special needs that they all have and struggle with, and you were able to listen because it sounds like you also were teachable and coachable, because when your advisor told you, no, was trust me, you need to go do the social work, you didn't resist.
Right.
You plugged in and listened, because sometimes people miss their blessing when they don't listen to what somebody's telling them to do. She saw something in you as well. See, that's the thing about it. That lets me know that when people see things in you that you may not see, the question is, will they follow? Will they follow the advice?
You say that, and I had also another instructor. She was over leadership and development. She was a leadership and administration. And by the way, I got honor in leadership and administration from Walden University as well. And so she told me, she said, one thing I will say about you, the whole time you've been in school, you have leadership qualities. And that's something that you're not born with. You get them, you acquire them, and I want to tell you, it's amazing that you weren't born a leader. And I said, that. She was like, because I want you to go ahead on and do something else. Maybe you want to teach, maybe you want to be administration, but you need to take your leadership qualities and move forward with it. You're not a follower, you're a leader. And I took that, and I thought about that, and I said to myself that I would make sure that I always reach back and listen to what some of the things that she would give me in my feedback. My feedback from her was never about what we wrote about. It was about things that make me grow as a human being, as a person, as a woman, as a Black woman. And so that meant a lot to me, that this lady who really didn't know me got to know me. So you have mentors and teachers in your life that you might not get along with very well, but it's because they see something in you. If they are struggling, you're struggling with a grade, and they give you another opportunity to write that paper again because it's something they see in you. They can give you a 0 and keep going.
That's exactly right. Listen,
Right.
I'm so grateful. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Did you know all disease begins in the gut? That's right. Your gut is your second brain, guys. It's connected to your liver. It's connected to your hormones. All things start in the gut. That's why you need to get your gut right today with P84. Love Biome. Awesome product called P84. 84 fruits and vegetables organically grown all around the world to help detox every organ in your body, provide all the nutrients, everything you need in your system to get your gut right. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net. MauriceMcDonald.net. MauriceMcDonald.net and learn about P84 to get your gut right so that you can have an awesome body. Okay, we're back. We're back here on the It's About You radio show, WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Maurice McDonald. Here we have our guest here with us, Dr. Dawn Long. I love saying that name, starting with Doctor. If you've been listening to the first segment, you heard us say she went from a GED, guys, didn't have her GED and didn't believe in herself, had a lot of doubt. And I know I wanted her to share this story because of all the years and young students I've had and non-traditional students, and she's a non-traditional student who've come with a GED, but now the idea of saying PhD, I get to say doctor, and I'm giving her her props because she earned every bit of it. Nothing was handed to her. She did it scared. She did it confused. She did it uncertain. But the key thing is she kept putting one foot forward and kept pushing. And we're talking about like a 12-year journey, the process. Listen, those of you who are listening to me right now, there's a book I read that talks about seed, time, and harvest. Hello. There's a planting season. You don't harvest the same time in the same season. Time has to go by. How many people would have quit the journey, that push? And she's sharing that story now. So Dr. Long, the fact that now you have gotten your bachelor's degree, okay, in social work, you've been working with the veterans, and I guess some of them were homeless and had all other kind of issues. That journey, you and I stayed in contact. You would reach out to me from time to time, and I know that journey was not easy. And you were still helping other classmates who cut some corners, tried to cheat their way through school, and then they got in the field and didn't know it. You didn't cheat the process. And that's what I really appreciate, because see, you can't cheat and get a blessing because you're not qualified. On paper you are, but you don't really know what you're doing. Talk to us about that journey of you not cheating the process and what that looked like.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. There were many times when I would have to sit down and write 20-page papers. and really put my heart and soul into making sure the APA was on point, the content was on point, my references were in check, my resources had to come together. And it was difficult. It wasn't an easy process. Sometimes I would be writing and I would get up and walk away. I'd walk away and I'd go do something that made me feel better, whether it was a pedicure or walk through the Veterans Park or go have a drink with one of my friends or go to Bible study. It just go to church online. Those were different things that would help me get through. And so you have to take self-care is the best care in the world that you can have. And so sometimes you have to step back from doing schoolwork. Don't step back long. I mean, I didn't step back from a class, or I kept going. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I have to take these many, many breaks.
Yes, and that is so true. Yes, that self-care. Many times people get so caught up, but you forget to take care of you. You're taking care of everybody else. I'm talking to a mama right now. I'm talking to a grandmama. You're trying to do everything for your children. You're trying to do everything for that grandboy. You're trying to keep them out of trouble, but they doing the opposite, and you are wore out. And sometimes you got to let them fall. Let them fall so they can learn. That journey is real. And do your self-care until they're ready, because you can't carry somebody that don't want to be carried. And that's for somebody. I don't know who need to hear that, but that's for somebody to need to hear. But as you went through this journey of that master's program, you would think you got your bachelor's degree. And where did you get your master's degree?
I got a master's at Walden.
Okay, again,
University.
Walden University, got your master's degree, and that was in social work.
That is correct, military social work.
Military social work. So, at what point did it cross your mind to even tackle a PhD?
I'll be honest with you about something. I always knew from my associate's degree program I was going to be a doctor. I knew then. I spoke that. It was a lot of times as I look back over my life, there have been things I have spoken over my life that was positive, and it came through. Like, for instance, was it wrong for me to put on my application way in Asheville, North Carolina, that I graduated from Central Piedmont? No, it was not, because it happened. So there are times I had to speak positive things over my life, whether it may have been. I always was like, oh my God, you should not be telling these people you graduated from Central Piedmont, but it took place. And so I would always tell myself as a young child that I wanted to be a social worker. But when I quit school, I knew that there was no way in the world. And I used to tell my aunt Genevieve, I'm going to be a social worker one day just like you. I want to be a social worker just like you. I want to be a social worker just like you. And the day that it happened, she said, you always have told me you wanted to be a social worker, and then look at you. So you got to speak over your life with positive affirmations. I am going to get that job. I am going to go to school. I think I should. I want to. I plan on. No, I speak positive affirmations over your life. I am going to do it. And you have to say it over. Put sticky notes up. Say what you want to do with your life and keep running with it, because those are the things that help me get through to where I am today.
Speaking of, oftentimes people speak negativity.
That's true.
And then they repeat, somebody else said it, and then they repeat it.
That's right.
And that's why you be careful. You don't want everybody speaking over your life. You want people to speak positiveness over your life, but you first must speak it and call those things that be not as though they were. Being able to see it. So you saw it in the future. I graduated from that college.
Another thing is my granddaughter. You met her. Her name is Arlie. She was at the celebratory we had the other week, and she said to one of her, she was going to A&T, and they said, oh, Arlie, who is that? That's my grandma. She's going to be a doctor. That's my grandma. She's going to be a doctor. And Nikki would always say to me, Nikki is my veteran, one of them. She would always say to me, "You're going to be a doctor. Don, go get your doctorate degree. Be a doctor, be a doctor, be a doctor." And I thought to myself, I don't think I have this in me to keep going to school. But when the moment that I finished my master's degree, I was so ready to write another paper. I wanted to do some research. I wanted to, because once you start doing these things, they come a part of your life to where that's all you know. That's what you know. So right now I'm working on a paper about post-traumatic stress and TBI and how they intertwine, and how that, you know, especially with military combat veterans, how they have to those dual diagnoses. And so that'll be something. I'm not stop writing because it's in me.
Yes, it's in you. And the fact that you spoke it, I want my listeners to understand and ask yourself this question: what have I been speaking over myself? Have you been speaking positively over yourself, about yourself, to yourself, in spite of what you see? You can't go by the homelessness you're in right now. You can't go by you're a single mama with 3 children. Yes, there are obstacles. Yes, it's going to be difficult. But what are you speaking? You're a great cook. You've been talking about you wanted a restaurant. You wanted a food truck. But you have not reached out and gone back to school to get a culinary arts degree to go that will propel you to go do what you want to do. Some of you, you're doing hair out of your apartment, of your house. You're doing nails. But you have not spoken that one day I'll have my own business. You may not be trying to get a PhD, or you're trying to accomplish your goals, your dreams. You're 30 years old, but you're still making 30 excuses. You have not enrolled. You have not done things, but you're looking around at all the reasons why you can't. Well, Dr. Long said she spoke these things before she saw it. And many of you who are of faith, you understand what that means. But it's now time for you to put some legs to it. Put in some action behind it. I had a student last semester, Dr. Long, that came, and this is the epitome of what she said. She had been wanting to go to school for 5 years, but she'd been busy, and her uncle told her, and this just hit me. Her uncle told her, says, "Listen, you've been talking about going to school for 5 years, and you've been busy. You've been busy doing nothing. I need for you to stop being busy and start being productive." So I don't use the word busy anymore, because busy does not imply production. She said, that's why I'm here now. I'm enrolled in school my first semester, because he said I was busy going nowhere. He want me to be productive. So he paid for her to go to school. And at the end of the day, how many people are saying I'm too busy? They're busy watching Housewives of Atlanta. They're busy watching sports. They're busy doing all kind of other stuff that's non-productive for their future, but they're making excuses. But what I'm hearing you say was you were productive, and you spoke it over yourself, even though it was not an easy journey, and nothing is easy. Not. It's hard. Is always going to be. I heard something the other day that said being overweight is hard, working out is hard, laying in bed and not applying for jobs is hard. Getting out of bed to apply for jobs is hard. So choose your heart. Choose
your heart.
Choose your heart.
Choose your heart.
Listen, that's what we're here this morning to lay the groundwork for somebody to choose your heart, because it will be worth it in the end. So that journey you had from GED, and now you've gone to school, you have 3 degrees. Now you're about to tackle the PhD that you said you knew you could. You saw it. When you graduate with the first degree, you said, "I'm going to be a doctor." Again, you've been speaking that over yourself. So to me, this is no surprise that you have gotten the degree, because that journey, and you were well prepared. Because I remember, I believe in your master's program, you sent me a text of a picture of a class you were in, a class that you had taught. I think it was group processing or something you were in.
That is correct.
And you showed me the book, and you had that bored look on your face like, I know this. So we prepared you for your master's program.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of people think, well, you know, school is easy. My community. No. We don't do that at Central Piedmont Community College. We push you. We prepare you for your bachelor's and master's degree. And you said that there were things that you saw or you already knew because we, Dr. Walter and Mr. Tommy Lopez, Miss Frankie, all the people, because we strive to push you to that level.
There were many times in school when I was in my associate's degree program, and people that I know who were in their master's or their bachelor's would say to me, why are y'all doing that? You're just an associate's degree program. Why are y'all doing that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I tell you what, it's really, it was just so much to take in, so much to learn. But each and everything that I had to do at my associate's degree, I've had to apply in my bachelor's. I've had to apply in my social work degree in my master's, and even have to apply in my doctoral degrees as well. What I learned in the community college.
Right, and everybody can't say that because all community colleges are not the same. Okay, and I'm not throwing shade or throwing hate or whatever for anybody else's program, but I know what we do. And we prepare, we push you. We already see into the future in case you want to go. We want you ready to go.
You prepared us to work in the field. You prepared us to go further in education, but you also prepared us for the journey of life. Yes. And so those three things, you cannot fail. You cannot fail.
Right. And kept pushing. And so now, what did you get your PhD in?
Liberty University.
Okay, you got it in Liberty University. And what was your major there?
Christian community care and counseling with the cognitive and traumatology.
Okay, all right. So break that down to folks who may not understand what you just said.
I can counsel you about the Bible, about Jesus Christ, about the Lord. Community care is because I care about the disasters. One thing about that, I was able to, because of the community care, I was able to go to Asheville with the Helene flooding and the hurricane and sign people up for the different things that they may have needed. So that community care is about helping someone who is homeless, get them a place to live, help them get into the different programs, whether it be workforce development, whatever. Help them. I've helped people go back to school and apply for GED. So community care is just that. If you care about the needs of your community, and so the traumatology part is we all have experienced trauma. I am a counselor. However, sometimes I still have to go to counseling myself. That's real. That's for real. You're never too old, never too smart, never too far ahead that you don't have to go back and get counseling.
Yes.
And so that was a part of me as well. I went to counseling myself at the VA because I needed to. And so that was important, but because of the trauma.
Right.
There are people that hold on to childhood traumas that they still experience them because they haven't let go of them. So there are veterans who go to war and they come back traumatized. But the same woman who didn't go to war can be traumatized in her own community with the war on drugs, the war on gangs, and stuff like that. So I'm a specialist in trauma.
Okay, and the thing of it is, I'm so glad to hear you talk about that self-care, because that's really what this is. Right. Self-care is important, and that journey, first and foremost, the PhD is a marathon, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
It is a marathon. Oh, yeah. It's a test of endurance.
That is correct.
It is truly, that is what it is, and you had to do your own research, your own thesis,
Right.
and what was your thesis on your thesis paper?
Um,
Which, by the way, you're now documented,
a published,
a published author. Come on, that's right.
Yes. My thesis was my manuscript. My dissertation was on understanding religious and spiritual coping in African American female veterans who experience combat-related trauma.
Yes, because there's so many women in the military, and first of all, being a woman in the military within itself is difficult. It's not an easy road because that's mainly male dominated. But women are vitally important in the military. They play a powerful role. A woman can do anything she puts her mind to do, there's no doubt. But that part about the trauma that they go through, especially combat veterans.
Yes, especially combat veterans, because they're dropped in a country that they have no knowledge of, that's not even built or put together. And if you could hear the stories I heard, the interviews I did, there was not one interview I did not cry, because when you're doing this, I did a phenomenological, transcendental lived experiences of African American female veterans, and it's a qualitative study, and so you have to get their lived experience, what they went through. They tell you, and I'm gonna tell you something. I couldn't have went. I do not believe that I could have went through some of the things that they went through, and without the Lord. And that's what they taught every veteran I talked to, every combat veteran, because I only interviewed combat veterans. They were either in Iraq, Iran, Operation New Dawn. They were in Afghanistan. And I'm gonna tell you something. The biggest thing that I heard from the veterans is that, Black women are marginalized in the United States. Here, they're one of the lowest people. We don't claim it, but they're low. But let me tell you something. Imagine being in a white male dominant, systematic racism, and so they were sexually molested, assaulted. But who you gonna tell?
Right.
We don't believe you, Black girl. They were not promoted. They lay stagnant. Some of them worked 20 years in the military, helping everybody get through, helping all their white counterparts and their Black male counterparts get promoted to them, and they still there because they're nurturing and teaching and showing them how to do, but not promoted because they're Black female. They went through marginalization. Some of them were not included in anything. And I wrote about, it was funny that it took me 2 years to really write my manuscript, whatever. But what was funny was that I wrote about the 66688
right.
In my manuscript as well. And those things that Tyler Perry talked about were way minimum to what those women really went through. I mean, he didn't even touch it. It was a good movie, but it was not. It was more about love stories and stuff like that. But they didn't have that over there. It was sad.
Right.
The things that these women went through while in combat. And there was not an interview I did. I interviewed 12 people, and every one of them I cried on except for one. I didn't cry with the woman who did not, and you'll see it in my manuscript, I did not cry with the woman who did not have the Lord.
Right.
Because I interviewed one woman who didn't have spiritual, wasn't raised up in a church or whatever.
Yes, sir.
And they weren't, nothing happened to them. Nothing happened to them. They went over there and they didn't have to go through a lot of struggles that most of the women who went through. And it was weird, but she said by the time she hit the soil back on ground on New United States, all she could do was fall to her knees and ask the Lord to help her. She didn't know who she was calling on,
right?
But she needed him.
Yes.
But guess what? Like I told her, he never left her nor forsake her while she was doing it to him. He was still right there. So the Lord, when it rained on the just, it rained on the unjust. You know, you have to take those things. He will never leave you, even though we forsake him.
Absolutely. And the fact that the matter is that historically African American females have been victim of racism and everything else in the military. Because let's face it, that's the way it is. And way back, from a matter of going back, even Civil War, those kind of things. End of the day, that journey, the emotional piece, that so many of them need counseling, need help, even coming out of the military, trying to adjust back into civilian life, and what they have gone through, that no one will ever know that struggle, because part of it is so many people, and I'm sure somebody who's listening to me now or listening to us now could be saying, well, a woman shouldn't be in the military in the first place. I can hear someone casting judgment.
You don't have to be in the military. I'm going to be honest with you. I was marginalized. I was writing my paper. Yep. I was marginalized. I was, because my chair, my department chair, he was a military. He retired from the military. He was a white male. And so a lot of things that I wrote about, he would say, write that over. That doesn't. You're not going to make me write over what somebody's testimony is.
Come on.
I'm not writing that over. That's what they said. Why do you have to put what rank they were? Because guess what? They fought for that rank. Why you have to put their job description? Because that's what they told me in the meeting. And I'm going to, everything that the woman talked about, did, said, or done, I'm going to add to this manuscript in the most respectful way that I can without depicting who they really are, because they went through it. I was marginalized. I was held back because Liberty University, that is my school. I will always talk about them, but I also will mention that they are part of the 2025 project. They helped to support it. They funded it. And so at the end of the day, it wasn't until when Trump got into office. My chair was beautiful to me until Trump got into office. And when he got into office, it was, why are you writing that? Why? I had to prove so many times much more over than somebody that wrote about them self-sabotaging themselves or something, but to a system. So I was in a system talking about a system who still didn't care about me.
And I know that journey that you're talking about, of writing that paper, and you and I had conversation about certain things that happened. In a moment, we're going to take a break and we'll pick up with that. But I do know that fighting systems is important. Systems are and sometimes systems are broken, and they'll say things, well, we've already done this, or we've always done it this way. Don't come in and rock the boat. Just be a team player, and don't write it that way. And the idea of it is the fact that you chose that topic. They didn't want you to choose that topic in the first place.
No, I wasn't supposed to.
You wasn't supposed to, but you made it.
Some truths.
Yeah, you told some truths.
They were happy about me writing spiritual and religion, but then combat trauma. And when I'm in trauma. Yeah. What do you want me to dance around?
Yes. Tell the truth.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you have to do that. So I tell you what, we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back. Did you know there's a battle going on inside your gut? That's correct. Good and bad bacteria are battling daily for your health. Introducing P84, Love Biome's brand new awesome product to help your gut microbiome to get in order. Imagine 84 fruits and vegetables grown all around the world in good soil for good health. A 5-year-old, 80-year-old, it doesn't matter. We all have a gut, and you need P84 in your gut to help you feel better, sleep better, and also detoxify every organ in your body. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald.net, and you can order your P84 today to help get your gut in order. Remember, P84, go to MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald.net, and get your gut right today. We're back. We are back, guys. Listen for the It's About You radio show on WDRB Media. The It's About You. And you have hearing information from Dr. Long, sharing the story about her journey from GED, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and now PhD. And also, we want to hit that part about graduation. Here you were getting your paper, your thesis through, and all that. That's a journey. Rewrite how they wanted you to word it, to fix it their way, to not hurt anybody's feelings, and all those kinds of things. Let's talk about the call you made to me, because you wanted me to hood you. And those of you who don't know what that means, at graduations, especially for the doctoral program, when they hood you at the ceremony, symbolic of your crossing over to get your PhD, the honor that you wanted me to do it after all these years, and I was totally honored and was going to be there at the college. But then you made a shift and decided to have your own private graduation, so to speak, celebration. Tell my audience why you did that.
Well, and the reason being is because one, the biggest thing was that Governor Glenn Youngkin, he is the governor of Virginia. He was the speaker over the graduation, and I didn't want him speaking over me, because in addition to that, he was one of the ones who helped do away with education. That was he really hosted a lot of things in the Project 2025, and he did away with the Obama Library. I mean, it's just so many different things. Anything racially motivated, he was in it. And so I did not want to have someone of that speaking over me. One other thing I would have to say to you is that I was published before I was concurred.
Come on.
What do you think about that? ProQuest published you before I've been concurred. And so I know that it's crazy, because I got an email today saying, "Hey, Dawn, congratulations, you finished your degree. We are so proud of you. However, and you can once you do your let me make something plain. Once you do your final defense, you are eligible for graduation. Whether you get the diploma or the credit or the transcript or not, you're still eligible. You can walk across the stage." And so I was eligible to walk, but I decided that I would not, because there's some standards I have, and one is you're not going to speak over me something and you don't care about me. You're not going to speak over me or preach to me about what I should do, what the next steps are when you are planning to do away with education, with DEI, when you are planning to do away with and DEI covers students with disabilities, IEPs and plans, and you want to get rid of Medicaid, Medicare, and stuff like that. And whole Social Security, people work all their lives to get their Social Security, and then you want to put clauses on it, because now things are going to be different now that the 2025 project is in motion. Something that Trump said that he would never have he didn't even know anything about, but yet still everything that is in that plan, he is putting in motion as we speak.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that it was something that they didn't deserve me to walk across that stage. They didn't deserve me to do that. I deserve better. Right. I don't want to put my family in a situation where we're up in Virginia and so many people support Trump there.
Yeah. And by the way, and this is truly not a political, but you're just sharing your faith and what you did and what you chose not to do. Your personal. You stood on principle. You stood on principle.
It has nothing to do with political.
That's right. I applaud you for standing, taking a stand, because we teach people you have a right to take a stand. Absolutely. Right. And people have a right to believe what they want and vote for who they want. This is America. But you had already passed. You got that. You had your own private and it was wonderful. The people that you know and loved you were there. I got to hug you anyway. That was an honor for me. I've never done that before. And I look back at it to have that small part of your GED journey to PhD, the uncommon story, and you're still moving forward, you're still doing positive things, you're still impacting lives. I just know that this, what you're sharing today, is blessing the lives of men and women who are hearing this, who may not be after the PhD, but they're after something that they have put on the back burner because they've listened to the wrong people, they've done the wrong things, they feel like there's no hope for them. I just got out of prison, I can't make... Listen, we don't care about any of those things, because as long as you're breathing, there's an opportunity for you to grow, opportunity for you to be better and move better. And I know we're going to have to continue this at another time, because there's more that we didn't even get into. But I just wanted people to hear your story and know that, number one, you told the story, but you gave God the glory. You see, that's the journey that you have been through imperfection, through bumps and bruises, through everything else. You helped a lot of people, and I want to thank you, Dr. Dawn Long, for being on the show today. And listen, we're going to have to come back. Hey, listen, guys, today's been powerful story from from GED to PhD, the Dr. Long story. And I thank you so much for being here with us. Listen, come back next week, guys. Come back. You know what we do every Tuesday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the It's About You show. Go to MauriceMcDonald.net and learn all about your amazing gut microbiome. Come back next week, because we're going to be in the building.